How do you manage long-term side effects related to breast cancer treatment? This is a question that I get often. And finishing breast cancer treatment is often looked at like crossing the finishing line to a crazy marathon. And honestly, what most people don't realize is that a lot of the side effects still linger well after you cross the finish line. So the fatigue, the muscle aches and pains, and everything else still lingers. And so today we're going to talk about how to manage those side effects and how to thrive despite still having them. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Zacobia and I wear many hats, many titles, but what probably brought you to my channel is the fact that I am a breast cancer survivor and I like to talk about things that a lot of people don't talk about. So welcome to my channel and let's dive in. Okay, so I wanted to pull up some of the common side effects that still linger well after treatment ends from a breast cancer journey. And some of those side effects that survivors often face or often complain about are fatigue that lingers months or years after treatment, brain fog, or what is also known as chemo brain, neuropathy, which is numbness or tingling in the hands or feet, joint pain or bone pain, especially after like going through hormone therapy, lymphedema or swelling in the arm, which is related to when you have to have lymph nodes removed, hot flashes, sleep changes, mood swings, also emotional scars such as anxiety, depression, or the fear of a recurrence, which we have definitely talked on. So if you haven't watched my previous video that's talking about the fear of a recurrence, I highly recommend that in terms of how to cope with those particular feelings that are related to that. So to be honest, I have not personally experienced a lot of these common side effects that I just read off. The ones that I personally experienced that have lingered would be the brain fog, which is also known as the chemo brain, and the joint pain. So I can only speak to that, and that's what I'm going to talk about in terms of like what has helped me with those and how I've dealt with those. As we get to the others, I'll just kind of read off like what some of the recommendations are to help cope with those particular lingering side effects. So for the brain fog, which is also known as chemo brain, the best thing that I have found that works for me is to write down everything. I wish I like had this magic secret like answer to solving the problem completely, but to be honest, like it's pretty like chemo brain is serious. Like you feel like there's a lot of times where I honestly can't get words out that like when I'm having a conversation with someone and I'm like, I know what I'm trying to say, but like I can't get it to come to me right now. And so I'm like, what's the word? What's the word? And I mean, I know people do that anyway, but I feel like I do that more often than usual. Another thing is like being told something like in a conversation and then, a few weeks later, like, hey, I told you blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't even remember. Like it's so hard to keep track of just all the information that our brain normally processes and receives at a time. And it to be in a place where you're not constantly feeling frustrated. I honestly like only focus on the important things. I know it sounds probably bad, like just for normal conversational purposes, because I don't hold on to a lot. Like if I don't feel like it's going to be beneficial. So I have mastered like strategically listening for keywords and key points that I know that I need to remember. And it's like I like naturally lock in on those and make sure that they are placed in a well safe part of my brain to go back to, and everything else that's not necessarily important. I just kind of like just take it in, but I don't know where it goes specifically. So to help someone else, if I had to help someone else, if I would recommend anything, it would be, like I said, to just write down as much as possible. So in those moments where I'm receiving a lot of information at a time and I know that I may not be able to go back to that information, I definitely write it down. I write down a lot. I have notes in my phone, pretty much on everything, because I'm like, I know I'm not going to remember this, so let me write this down. When it comes to a schedule with my children, because I've talked about that before, my children are very active, and I'm very active in their lives and the things that they enjoy doing in their activities. And so to keep up with all of that, like I have, calendars, because I'm kind of old school too. So I have paper calendars that I write all those important things that we have to be at, the events that we have to attend, and time, and all of that. And so when I get a typical phone call about, hey, when does such and such have this going on, I'm usually like, well, hang on, let me go look, because I don't even try to store all of that information anymore. I just go straight to writing it down. So I highly recommend writing it down, whether or not that be on paper for you, or you using your phone, or any other type of, journal, electronic device, whatever. Find what works best for you and get comfortable with writing important things down so that you don't feel guilty for forgetting or missing out on things, because like I said, it is a real thing. And if you just try to keep up with it all on your own, you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to forget things, and it's going to make you feel terrible. So write it down, lock it in, put it in a calendar. You can also ask others to remind you, to help you remember. And that's the thing that I do with, important events and things like that. If you definitely know you want me to be there, like, hey, just check in with me, a week or two before it, just to make sure that I didn't lose track. Make sure that I, didn't forget to write it down and lock it in. Like I tell people, don't feel bad, like, because I'm not going to get mad at you for following up with me, to make sure that I am a part of something that means something to you. Even when it comes to the children, I've started putting a lot of that responsibility on them to help remind me, because I think they were starting to notice it as well. They'd be like, I already told you this, like, or how did you forget? And this, that, and the third. And so finally I had to explain to them that, like, outside of, having brain fog or chemo brain, like, let's just think about the simple fact that I am keeping up with everyone else's life in addition to my life. So I have my life, I have my husband's life, and I have 4 kids, and they all have a life. And so you honestly want me to keep up and keep track of every single thing in everybody's life, and then you feel a certain kind of way if I miss something? Like, come on, like, be real, because in reality, y'all know that's a lot to keep up with. So if I miss it, I'm missing it because you didn't remind me. And so I need you to take ownership and take responsibility in that as well, to say, okay, this is important to me, and I want it to be, something that my mom is a part of, and I want that to be important to her. So I want her there, and I'm going to make sure she remembers and she's there. So, pass that on to, those that are also in your circle that you love and that support you, to help you carry that, so that you're not carrying all of that by yourself, because there's a lot to carry. And again, you start feeling guilty, you start feeling crazy, and all of that. And so the best way to release yourself from all of that is to write down, like I said, everything that's important, and enlist the help of your village to help you stay on top of all of those important things. Okay. The other thing that I deal with is joint pain. I've talked about this in previous videos in terms of, like, really, really bad joint pain in my feet initially after treatment ended, which was probably related to the Xeloda, or, whatever combination of chemotherapy drugs that, it was, because I had several different cocktails that were a part of my treatment plan. And so who knows what it was that took effect when it did, but I know, like, my feet hurt really bad. So that was something I talked about initially. Flash forward to now, like, if I had to sit down and tell you right now, like, what type of lingering joint pain that I deal with, the main one that I notice is actually my knees now, not my feet. My knees ache often, and it's not necessarily related to, like, being on my feet all day or doing a lot or anything like that. It's just, it's achy at times. I guess it's maybe more achy when the weather is bad. I don't know. I just know that they start to ache and I have to rub them. And, you just really realize, like, okay, is this, 40-year-old knees that are aching, or is it side effects related to chemotherapy? I mainly think that it's probably side effects. And honestly, I try to do as much as possible to stay active, to stay moving, staying stretched, and flexible and all of that. And I do feel like it helps. Other things that help with it is doing like heat or just like massage. Like I said, I constantly rub it. The biggest help I feel like is supplements, and so I started taking like magnesium and calcium supplements, in addition to some other things, and I feel like those help more than anything else. I tried turmeric at one point as well, and I feel like that was helping, but then I felt like I probably didn't want to take too much of that because of other side effects that I was hearing from that. And so I'm not recommending any supplements that someone else should take specifically, but I do feel like you should research or have a conversation with someone that's in that natural health realm that can help identify certain things that are natural to us that may help with those particular type of discomforts and things like that. It's not unbearable pain, and so if I had to think about like something that like I would probably worry about, no, it's not that. It's really just like dull achy pain. And so again, I highly believe it's more so related to the side effect from the treatments. Fatigue, I do have fatigue, but again, you have to realize that I have a busy, busy life. And so between running a business and, just overall working and family and the balance of life and everything, like I feel like that naturally will tire you out. And so when I rest well. Like I don't have problems with sleeping or anything like that. And so when I'm feeling those moments of fatigue, I don't necessarily blame it on what I went through with the treatment. And even when I was going through the treatment, I felt like it was hard to blame it on that specifically, just because if you're if you're doing stuff constantly and running and, or how we say ripping and running and doing this and doing that, then naturally you're going to feel tired. And so what I feel is tired. I don't feel like I can't get up out of bed. I can't do anything because obviously things need to be done, and I get things done. So that's the most I can say about that. So I will say, in terms of, because I wanted to mention some of the things that have helped other people, or things related to other side effects that I mentioned earlier and things that kind of help with those. So and even picking up off of the fatigue. So some of the things that they recommend, that you can try is to do more activity, like walking and yoga and things like that, and that may help with the fatigue and all of that, because they feel like that actually gave them more energy than draining them or depleting them. So that's something you can try. Another thing was the neuropathy, and so some of the things that people have suggested that help with that is like soaking your hands in warm water, or your feet, soaking your feet or your hands in warm water, or even adding the Epsom salt to the bath and giving it like, Epsom salt soak as well, because the magnesium in the Epsom salt will help with those aches, that's associated with neuropathy as well. And some people, even if it's unbearable, they have conversations with their doctors about medications that can help with the numbness, tingling, that's related to the neuropathy. Um, Another one that pointed out was like sleep. So some people have trouble with sleeping, and so some of the recommendations were that they set a bedtime ritual. So meaning like turn your phone off so you don't have that blue light that's keeping you up. Prepare some warm tea and have prayer and have meditation to help you rest and get to that resting state to hopefully be able to drift off into a nice sleep cycle that you can get through to ultimately be able to help with resetting your body and getting you back into a normal rhythm. So yeah, so those are some things that, like I said, I didn't personally deal with, but some recommendations. Also, to go back to like the joint pain, I didn't mention another thing that's good is like making sure that your diet is full of anti-inflammatory type foods, because there are certain foods that we eat that cause more inflammation than others. And I do notice when I eat certain things that are known to be more inflammatory, that I have more joint pain then, as opposed to when I'm being like more diligent and, you know, just focused on making sure that I'm eating clean. I feel like it does better, or my body does better with managing inflammation for sure. Um, those times when I'm eating better. So yeah, so if you're wondering, like, the main thing that a lot of people wonder is how to differentiate between what's like normal long-term side effects and what's something to worry about, and like what should I, when should I call my doctor? You should call your doctor. So like, for instance, if you're dealing with bone pain and joint pain, we know that some cancers can metastasize to bone. And so if you're trying to figure out whether or not this is just an effect of a side effect of the treatment, or if it's something else you should be worried about, then you have to take it from an angle or an approach of like the level of uncomfortableness that you have from it. If it's just you're slightly uncomfortable or achy, then it's probably not anything to worry about, and it's probably just long-term side effects. But if you are in excruciating pain, like your bones are like hurting really bad, like to the point where you feel like you need to go to the hospital, then you need to go to the hospital. You need to call your doctor, because, something like that is probably, something that should be looked at. And especially if it's like, a lingering type of pain that doesn't get better. It doesn't, no matter what you do, it doesn't feel better. It doesn't go away, and you've had it for quite a while. Like, that's something you want to report. Same thing applies to like neuropathy and, just those type of discomforts. Like, if you're doing things to help alleviate it and it's not getting better, you need to go ahead and call your doctor, and schedule a time to go in and speak with them about what else can you do to help get through this. Same thing with like anxiety, things like that. Like, if you're dealing with fear and anxiety, and it's debilitating you to where you're not able to get through your day and get through activities of the day and function properly, that's a conversation that you need to have with your doctor. Also when it comes to, mood swings and things like that, that's things that you need to discuss with your doctor. Like, don't wait and hold out on that kind of stuff. um it's one of those things where you just kind of like use your discretion. Like, if it's worrying you and you are losing sleep over something that's going on with your body, listen to your body and call your doctor, like, point blank. Like, no one wants you to just sit there and suffer through things. Like, so call them and let them know, what's going on, and see what else you can be doing to help you get through it. Like, the main thing you want to know as a survivor is that survivorship doesn't mean like now you have to just tough things out because, you're finished all of that. Like, they have, released care, or now you're just on this follow up and nobody's, checking in with you all the time. So now you just have to, tough things out. That's not what it is. Like, survivorship is not toughing it out. It's, being more aware and in tune of your body. And, at this point, you should be like your biggest fan, be your biggest advocate for yourself and standing up for what it is that you need. My main point, my number one key takeaway is that, even through all of this, it doesn't define who you are. It doesn't mean that, you're broken just because you're dealing with long-term side effects. Because like I said, many people do. It was something that was shared to me early on in the process. And so, just having a realization of what you may experience and understand that you're not going through it alone, but also that it doesn't define you. Like, you're not broken. Like I said, you don't need to spend too much time like trying to focus on fixing or getting back to the old version of yourself. Like, I truly embrace the new version of me. The new version of me is broken. I am, obviously missing parts that I was supposed to have, that I no longer have. And so it doesn't mean that I'm no longer who I am. Like, I'm still me. I'm just a different version of myself. And so, just, having a way to embrace those changes and the new version of you is another form of healing to get you through what it is that you've been through, because, no, it wasn't easy, obviously. And so there's no just going back and picking up from where you left off. Like, there is a new version of yourself that you need to accept and embrace, because a new version of yourself is stronger, braver. You're just as beautiful, if not more beautiful than you ever were. And so that's something to celebrate. Like you still got it. You know what I'm saying? Like yeah, you good. So don't focus too much on, oh man, I got all this going on, so oh, I'm just this little old lady. No, I'm still me. I'm just gonna move a little slower sometimes, or I just might can't hang out all night no more because I'm sleepy and I'm tired and I got a bunch of stuff to do, and that's me. And so take me for who I am, because this is what it's gonna be. And I like me, and I like me, so you should like you too. You know what I'm saying? Like, just embrace the new version of yourself. Like, you've been given a second chance at life. That's a big deal. Embrace it and everything that comes with it. All right, guys. So that's my spill for today. And I hope it encourages someone to, like I said, just know, like, yes, we're all dealing with some stuff, but trust me, like, the older we get, the more, I mean, we're gonna deal with stuff anyway. So I mean, it is what it is. Like, just I'm not saying it to like overlook anything, but I'm just like, just embrace it and find a level of gratitude to just be thankful every day in spite of what you've gone through. So if you have liked this, if you feel like this can encourage someone, please like, comment, share, hit the subscribe button, and let me know down in the comments, like, what are some of the long-term side effects that you're experiencing, and what are some things that help you get through, in terms of dealing with it, in terms of thriving and going on with your life. Let us know, because you can help someone else by sharing what has helped you. So that's why I say, put that down in the comments to let someone else know, like, what they can possibly do that may help them, because we don't all go through the same side effects. Like, I can't talk to every, common side effect that's out there, because I didn't personally experience it, but maybe you have and you can help someone else. So please drop that down in the comments. And thank y'all so much for watching, and continue to tune in. And until next time, peace.